Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz. I'm so excited you're here. I am back with another emergency card kit. If you're new here, I release emergency card kits on the first and third Friday of every month, full of sentiments, card sketches, digital paper, and ephemera. Though I will say the second one for July will come out on the fourth Friday because I have a very busy month. But what's so great about emergency cards is that they have sentiments in two key sizes, a rectangle or a circle, and every time I release a kit, the sentiments are exactly the same size. So you can choose a card from your stash. I tend to put my sentiments on with removable adhesive, so I could peel these right off. But if you used glue, that's okay too. You can just glue a new one right over the top of it if you needed a birthday card instead of a thank you card. And it makes your stash incredibly, incredibly valuable. I am so excited to share today's kit with you. Let's take a look at the kit. We have four themes. We have coffee, we have tea, we have hot chocolate and gingerbread. Those are on the same pages, and then donuts. And so for the most part, among those four themes, I've separated them by page, so you only have to print what you want. This is huge, right? I thought again about splitting this like half of it at the beginning of July and half in the middle, but I really want to do a Christmas in July for you. But I will say probably Christmas in July will be the fourth Friday instead of the third. I'm doing some traveling in July and I just want to make sure that you're going to get a really great kit. So keep an eye out. I'll have a video for you on the third regardless. It's just a question of whether or not the kit releases then. So we have for coffee sentiments, wishing you happiness and coffee. Frappy birthday wishes, wishing you a highly caffeinated birthday. Have a beautiful birthday. Have a grande birthday, grounds for a celebration, warmest birthday wishes. Thank you for being so great. Being thinking of you. Another year hotter, HBD. Shh, coffee doesn't ask questions. You're my favorite human being. No coffee, no talkie. Have a magnificent day. May your coffee be strong and your day be sweet. I would love your feedback on fonts. Each row has a different font pairing. I feel like I tend to use the same fonts over and over again. So I was trying to switch things up a little bit. Let me know if you like all of them or if there are some that are your favorites. If everybody has the same favorites, I will stick to those. But until then, I will try sometimes to give you something different. So this has a circle around each of them. These are 1 3/4 inch sentiments. And then if I grab my punch, I'm just gonna wiggle this into place. As soon as I can't see that circle anymore, I know that it's centered. You could use a die instead. And if you wanna use a die that's a different shape or a different size, the second page of each set of sentiments will have that circle removed. So that makes it really easy. Then we have our tea sentiments. It's time to party. Thank you so very much. You're my cup of tea. Wishing you a brew tea full birthday. You're terrific. Happy birthday, bestie. Happy birthday, sweetie. Steeped in gratitude. And then those are going to repeat down here at the bottom. So we have a full page of coffee sentiments, but the rest of these will be slightly smaller. I felt like coffee was the one that kept getting requested and these others just kind of fit in. So then we have those with and without our circle. Then we have hot chocolate and gingerbread. You're the marshmallow to my hot chocolate. Warmest holiday wishes. Happy hot chocolate season. 'Tis the season for hot choc and fuzzy socks. Oh snap, it's your birthday. Oh snap, happy holidays. Baking spirits bright. Bite me, I'm delicious. And again, we have with and without that printed circle. Finally, we have donut sentiments. Wishing you the sweetest birthday. I just do not know what I'd do without you. Life is better deep fried and dipped in sugar. Happy birthday with sprinkles on top. Thanks a whole lot. Do not stop believing. It's your birthday. Eat more whole foods. Donuts, birthday boss lady. And then there's another version of that that doesn't say boss lady that we'll see on the rectangle sentiments. So don't worry. That's one of my favorites. So I wanted to make it really versatile. Those repeat again down here at the bottom. So we have 8 donut sentiments with and without our printed circle. Then we have our card sketch. I love this one because it gives you a really nice big space to put some die cuts or ephemera pieces, something fun in there. We have both a circle and a rectangle mat, so it's really versatile for both your sizes of your emergency sentiments. And then there's notes for a stretch a sketch down at the bottom. These 8 pages of circle sentiments and the card sketch are completely free. They are linked in the description box below the video. Just click on more or show more and it will unpack that description box. You'll find everything that you need. All I ask is that you subscribe to my channel. If you are interested in additional free pages, I have a free membership option in my Patreon. It's a community where we can share our cards and our ideas. You can vote on themes and things like that. So linked right next to the free download in the description box below is a link to the post in Patreon with bonus pages. And then there's a video right below it that's a tutorial that walks you through what my Patreon is, how to join, and how to join for free. So we have a bunch of rectangle sentiments in all of those same themes. So we're starting with our coffee sentiments. There are 2 extra spaces in the rectangle version compared to the circle version. So a couple of them will repeat. Then we have our tea sentiments. Again, we have a few that are going to repeat more than once. Hot chocolate and gingerbread. And then we have our donuts. And I am really loving the rectangle sentiments these days. I'd love to know in the comments, especially if you've been here for a while, which size or shape of sentiments do you use the most? Because we have circles, rectangles, and then we have our strip sentiments. And so I'm using the rectangles a lot lately. If you're a die cutter, the strip sentiments will be great for you. These are about a 1/4 inch strip, and there are little tick marks to help you cut them out. Make sure you get them straight. This first page has 2 kind of whimsical fonts, and then we have a nice scripty font and a classic serif font. So all of our sentiment themes will have that. Here's our tea sentiments, the same fonts. As always, if you have feedback on fonts for these or ideas for new fonts, I love to hear about it. Here's hot chocolate with our whimsical fonts. And then actually, I've already been making stuff with these kits, you guys. I've printed this page a couple times. So just know you do get all 4 fonts for hot chocolate. Then we have our donut sentiments. And then I love to include some digital paper and ephemera. I will say, I love this, but I meant to put coffee beans in the background and I forgot. So you're gonna get this version of it, but then you'll get a second version that has coffee beans back there. You'll see some examples of that in different colors. But again, we're still talking about the free version of the download that's linked in Patreon. So there's our first page of digital paper. And then we have this lovely polka dot pattern. And it's very light. Okay, but I promise you, it's beautiful. I love that light colors tend to save you on ink. And this is gonna pair really nicely with this one. So you have 2 pattern papers that will help you make a really easy card. And then you've got sort of a classic coffee bean, coffee spill kind of background. So those are the coffee beans that you'll have behind your coffee cups on that purple one. I do have paid membership for my Patreon. The first one starts at just $2 a month. Paid membership helps to keep these kits free for everyone. And I always try to give them bonus pages. So we have 4 pages of our circle sentiments that have white text on black. I always print these with my laser printer so that I can foil them if I want to. I have a mini Minc. Did you know there's a new mini Minc? Mine is 6 inches. And then the original Minc is for like scrapbooking. It fits 12 inches. The new one fits an 8.5 by 11, and it has been on super sale at scrapbook.com. And then you can kind of stick a coupon on top of it. If it's still on, well, I'll link it anyway, but if it's still on sale, I'll like make it really easy to find down there. So if you've been thinking about foiling, like for a while there, it was cheaper even than the 6 inch. That aside, we have 4 pages of circle sentiments and then 4 pages of our rectangle sentiments with that white text on black. Even if you're not going to foil it, I just love the crispness of this. And especially when you're talking about something like coffee, you get a different look. And then of course we have it with all of our strip sentiments. I think this is the one I use most where I don't foil it and I just leave it that white text on black. So there's, I think 8 pages here. Is my math right? Guys, it's the middle of summer. We have hit July. I am a teacher. My brain is not working all the way anymore. But there are all of our strip sentiments with white text on black. The next membership tier is $5 a month. They're going to get all of those pages you've seen so far, and then they get more bonus pages, and they have a searchable sketch database. So it has every kit I have ever released. You can search by sketch or by theme, and then it will link you straight into the videos where I've used that kit so you can get to the download or you can get inspiration. And they are starting with 8 pieces of ephemera. These are in that 1 3/4 inch circle, but I gave you 2 versions of it, one with the circle, one without the circle. So for me, if I'm not going to cut it into a circle, it's easier to fussy cut. Without that, my eye gets less distracted. Or you could put this through a scan and cut, and most of these will cut pretty cleanly. Okay, so 8 pieces of ephemera, and then we have more digital paper. I love this. Look at this. Oh, you guys, we have donuts, we have coffee. I love that these all feel pretty whimsical. Here's another one. This is a brown background, but we do have little coffee beans in the background. It's super subtle. And then we get this light blue polka dot background, and these go really nicely together. I like the blue and the brown. Next is our $12 tier. This is really where everything opens up because they're going to get that same sketch database, but then below the sketches and the kit themes and the link to the videos that you got at the $5 tier, there is direct downloads. So they can go through and download every kit I've ever made pretty easily. They also get all of the sentiments, the circle and rectangle sentiments, as resizable image files. They're digital stamps, so they have a transparent background. You can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, delete the ones you don't want, duplicate the ones you want the most. And so I love this tier. If you haven't tried resizing your sentiments, let me know if you're interested in trying it. Maybe I'll release just like a small handful for everybody to try and see if they like it. They're also going to get some additional ephemera pieces. On a couple of these, I put a background in there just to make it more interesting if you did want to cut that out with your circle punch. Let me know if you like that, if you want more of these to come like this, so they're a little more ready-made. And then we get some lovely like coffee cups down at the bottom. And then we have those same ephemera pieces on a separate page that don't have those circles. Then we have more digital paper, and this really kind of shows you, I think, what that purple paper would look like that's in the free kit. So there'll be a page without those coffee beans in the background, and then I'll do one like this for you because I love it. I love it, love it. Then we have that with a light pink background. Then we have our striped pattern that has white and pink stripes behind it, purple and pink stripes behind it, and blue and pink stripes behind it. And finally, a few more pages of this polka dot. I mean, I love a polka dot, but this one makes me so happy because they aren't perfectly round. It's more organic. I think it goes with our donuts better. So we have lavender, and then we have a light gray as well. Our final membership tier is the $25 Sassy Champions. So they get that sketch database that has the direct downloads, the resizable sentiments, but then they have a second database that is a sentiment database. It's a spreadsheet that has over 1,400 different sentiments in it. You can search by wording, you can search by kit theme, you can search by when it came out or how many pages are in it or whether or not the kit has digital paper or images in it. And then they will also get all of those images as digital stamps, resizable image files. So I love this tier as well. It makes for really quick and easy card making. You can always find the sentiment you want. All right, we're gonna make 2 cards today, and we are using the card sketch that is in the kit. So I have a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then a piece of 4 by 5 1/2. Then I should have 2 5.5 inch long pieces, but I cut my pattern paper a little short. So I have cardstock that's 5 1/2 and pattern paper that is 5 1/4. Then I have 2 circles, a 3 1/2 and a 3 1/4. And I have a rectangle that is 2 1/2 by 1 1/2. All of that is on the sketch. That's in the free download that's linked below the video. So you don't need to worry about writing any of it down. I am going to put my strip for this card in the center, which is how it is on the sketch, but you might play with that layout, okay? There are lots of different ways to switch this up, and actually on card number 2, I had intended to use the same sketch, but it did not work. And I'm terrible at following directions anyway. So I'm gonna add this strip, but before I add my circle, I'm gonna add some die cuts. I want to know if I'm still going to be able to see enough of my die cuts or your stamped images or your ephemera or whatever you're choosing to use once you put the rectangle sentiment mat on there, because it's going to overlap it a little bit. If you've been here for a while, you know I don't drink coffee, but I have a shocking, like alarming number of dies that are coffee related. In fact, that is just a very small sort of sampling of that. For this particular card, we're going to use this little coffee cup that's from the Pillow Box die that is on clearance over at Trinity Stamps. I usually use their tiny donut dippers, but I thought I'd switch it up, and I'm going to use the fall treats from scrapbook.com. But here are some other favorites. This, I think it's the winter mug die from Pretty Pink Posh, or the breakfast buddies from Brutus Monroe, or the tip and sip shaker from Trinity. I made this card with it. You don't have to make a shaker out of it. And you can see that tiny donut dipper. If I'm honest, after I was done with everything, I started thinking about all of the other coffee and mug related things that I have. I forgot about Karen Burniston and Pixie Dust Designs. And so I will have a link in the description box below if you want to see the appalling number of coffee dies and stamps and things that I have. But I'm sure you have some in your stash if this is a theme that you like. These two dies really fill our circles, and I didn't want to try to pick them up and then find that spot again. So I am just sticking the tip of my glue bottle underneath there, and they'll be fine, right? That'll hold it really nicely. There are dies in that scrapbook.com set to put sprinkles on the donut, and I didn't forget. We're going to do it with embellishments instead at the end, but they're going to take a little while to dry, so we'll do that last. Once I have those on there, I have some very thin 1mm foam tape on about 2/3 of our rectangle mat, and then just glue on the other side since there's a lot of cardstock there. If you haven't cut out our rectangle sentiments before, these have tick marks on them, and I'm going to start at the bottom and slide the blade of my trimmer up, but I'm stopping at the header. I'm keeping it intact at the top because I have tick marks on the side, and I need to be able to rotate this and cut again. I'm going to do something here I don't think I've ever done, which is shocking, like truly. But I went to pull out my sentiment and I was like, that is not, I skipped a row. It's fine. Once I have sort of the base of it cut out, I know that they're 1¼ inch tall. So I just cut it in half, and I'm going to use this one that says wishing you happiness and coffee. And then there are 2 die sets. I can't believe I already forgot about them. I got 2 new die sets from Hero Arts, and one of them has these teeny tiny coffee bean dies. It's this one. It's called Stovetop Espresso. Look at how cute it is. Though I have to keep looking the name up because I truly had no idea what that contraption was for. And then there's this one as well called Coffee and Croissants, I think. And I've already kind of put these together. I'll probably put them in a video next week. If you have favorite coffee dies that you're hoping I will use next week, let me know because I might have them too. There's a pretty good chance. So I'm just going to add 3 little coffee beans onto our sentiment. I love that this really like steps that up and makes that white space feel extra purposeful. And then we'll go and add sprinkles onto our donut. So I have an embellishment mix from Trinity Stamps. This is the shaker pop style, and they're just these tiny little beads in a shaker. They make great shaker noises. And this one is called the Confetti Shaker Pop. And it is just a rainbow of bright colors. It's kind of like candy confetti looking. And so I put those all over the top of my donut. Just some wet glue. Give it some time to dry and they will stay on there beautifully. But that is card number 1 complete. And I love it so much. The papers for card 1 were from the freebie Patreon version of our kit. But I'm using some pattern paper from scrapbook.com for this second card. This is the Sherbet patterned paper, and then there's like a solid colored cardstock pack that coordinates with those colors. I wasn't sure here if I was going to use the rest of that sort of pink polka dotted pattern, but I really like the texture on here. And so I used the Quilted card front die from Concord and Ninth, and I'm just going to create my strip here. This is what it should look like. So an A2 panel with pattern paper a little bit smaller, and then this strip both the pattern paper or the smaller piece should be 5.5 inches wide, and so should sort of the piece behind it, that matte layer. Then I have my circles and I'll glue those together. And then you're going to see some funny things here. I'm going to use a die set from Concord and Ninth called Afternoon Tea. This is so stinking cute. And it makes all these little teapots. There's a stamp set that coordinates with it. And I made a teapot already. I'm about to show you the second teapot. And I thought, wouldn't it be lovely if it looked sort of ceramic if I used this glossy cardstock? And I'm making a second one because I did some ink blending on the first one and I picked an ink that was a little too dark. And in the end, like the card was basically done and I didn't like the ink blending. And I was like, I will start this pot over, but I didn't want to redo the ink blending. Anyway, you're going to see the other teapot and I'm looking at it in editing going, I think I like that one better. I can't believe I started the teapot over, but I want to know what you think. When you see the other teapot, be honest with me and let me know in the comments. Also, apologies if you hear fireworks in the background. This video is coming out on the 4th of July, and at this point, I either record with fireworks in the background or this video is not going to come out for another week. So sorry about that. I love that there are tons of cute little pieces to go with this, but I wanted a darker teal to go with that shiny blue cardstock, but I didn't have any other glossy cardstock. So I am using some packing tape. It's not as good. It is not the same, but if you're cutting out small pieces, no one's gonna notice. It's gonna be great. So I am cutting out this little sliver that's gonna go on the very bottom of the pot, and then I'm recutting out that pink piece so that I can inlay the little cutouts. I wanted to give this a second color. I like to let that glue sit there for a little bit because it's glossy. It likes to slide off, right? It's sort of hydroplanes. That's no good. But if you let your glue sit for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, it will start to get a little thicker, a little tackier. It begins to dry and it will adhere much more easily. I was able to remove the large piece of that die and then the tiny pieces stayed right on in there. So I'm going to put glue into each of the wells that are left over, and then I will fit the die right over top of the die that I have already put on my teapot, and I'll use my little pokey tool in each of those holes. This way I am not one by one going and adding all those little pieces in. I poke pretty lightly because I don't want to dent the cardstock, especially when it's glossy. I think you notice that a whole lot more. But if I only have to put one in by hand, that's great. So here's the teapot that I discarded. You guys, I don't know what I was thinking. I like them both, but I think the color combination is a little better on this one. Though the whole thing's a little busy, right? We have a busy background pattern. We have this busy polka dot pattern. Anyway, let me know. I didn't want to cover up that much of the teapot to put my sentiment on here. So I just rotated all the pieces that I already had and I was like, you know what? This is going to work great. I'm just going to show you putting these pieces together for the layout and then I will show you how I took it apart. I have a tool. I take a lot of things apart. I don't always show it. In fact, I rarely show it because it takes a lot of time and I've been putting multiple cards and videos. But I'll show you what I've been using lately that's working pretty well. Then I'm lining up my bottom piece before I really press down and making sure I like the placement of everything because we aren't quite following the sketch anymore. And I'll just use my scissors and trim off the excess. For both of my dark teal pieces, I die cut out of those before I added the other layers on there, and no one's ever gonna know. I have foam tape only at the top, like the middle and top of that circle, because at the bottom it's overlapping 2 layers of cardstock. And that way it's all pretty even as it's sitting on my card. And then I'll put a little bit of foam tape on my sentiment mat as well. I cut this down by 1/8 of an inch on the top and on one side, just so that it didn't take up quite so much room at the bottom. It had a little less weight. Then I will cut out my T sentiments the same way I cut out the other ones. I don't cut all of them. I just cut until I get the one I need, and then I leave the rest intact. For me, it's just a little easier to find the sentiment I want when I can pick up a single piece of paper instead of rifling through like 20 million small sentiments. Okay, so this is a palette knife from Spellbinders, and it's really long. And I love that. I have other palette knives, but they're plastic or they aren't very long. And so I can really only get underneath part of it. This guy is great. I can sort of sneak in under there, loosen things up. And I was able to just peel off the entire shimmer white cardstock circle. I put a new one on there, and now here's my new teapot, my shiny teapot. I'm going to add my little heart in the middle. That I did the same way as the dark teal glossy cardstock with some packing tape. And then I'm adding Steeped in Gratitude at the bottom, and that will finish up card number 2. All right, my friends, those are our 2 card projects for today. I would love to know which of these 2 is your favorite, and I want to know which of the 4 themes you're most excited about. If you're interested in the free kit, the 9-page version is linked in the description box below the video. Just click on more or show more. You'll find everything that you need. All I ask is that you subscribe to my channel. Right next to that, you will find an extended free version linked in my Patreon. There is a free membership option. So I've linked to the post in Patreon that you need and to a tutorial that will explain my Patreon and show you how to join and join for free. Friends, thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you next time.